friends, it's Heather with Running with Scissors. Today we are recording the January 2024 tutorial for Dashing Doors, and that's this adorable little leprechaun truck pot of gold, and he's got a little rainbow as well. And this is number 16, so this is January 2024, number 16. So let's get started. Okay, so for this guy, you have a lot of paint colors, but mostly because of the rainbow. Now, it's primary colors, so if you just start with at least 3, you can make the other colors. You can mix red and blue together to make purple or whatever, but you should have all of these colors or something similar in your paint stash. So I will tell you what my plans are today. My plan is to use Apple Barrel Kelly Green, Apple Barrel Crisp Green, Apple Barrel Red Apple, Apple Barrel Real Yellow, Apple Barrel Jack-O-Lantern, Apple Barrel Golden Sunset, Deco Art Burnt Orange, Deco Art Crisp Blue, and Apple Barrel Purple Iris. Now, I just realized that I have to switch my yellows here. This is gloss. I'm not even sure why it's in my container. So it's going to be Apple Barrel Bright Yellow. Apple Barrel Bright Yellow. And then, of course, black and white. Black and white. Okay, so I am going to start by painting the truck green. It's probably going to need 2 coats. Oh, and I forgot to talk about your ribbons. So you're going to have a length of jute, a couple of ribbons, a couple of zip ties, and on this particular piece, your leprechaun is separate and he sits in the window of the truck. Actually up here, because these are his little hands and it's like he's hanging out the window, okay? So his hat is going to come up above the door frame there, the window there. So that's what he looks like. So we separated that to make it a little bit easier to paint. This one will take a little bit of patience though. We know you have it. Okay. I'm not sure where all this glitter is coming from. Oh, it's coming from the Shamrock ribbon. That's where that's coming from. Well, it's Mardi Gras, or it's St. Patrick's Day, and I guess glitter's not a bad thing. Now, before we get started painting, make sure you have a couple of cups of rinse water. You'll want a pile of paper towel. You're going to need a paper plate for your paints, a collection of brushes. I will show you what my collection of brushes looks like. I have lots. So there's my collection of brushes. You'll see these ones. Don't they look all nice and pretty? It's because it is only a couple of days past Christmas, and I was gifted with some brand new brushes. So that is nice. I have a variety of Posca pens, and of course I have all of my paint colors ready. I have pouncers ready in case I need them. I probably won't be using them, but you never know what I might want to put polka dots on. And but I guess that's about it. So baby wipes, make sure you have baby wipes, and you're gonna need scissors. All right, so let's get started painting. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna paint my truck green to start with. Okay, I am going to avoid this window because the window I want to paint like a really light shade of blue. So let's get this truck painted. I'm going to use a nice wide angle brush, a number 12. And I'm going to start with my Kelly green. That's my darker green. Oh, looks like my Kelly green's got some nasty paint in it. It's all right. We'll work around that. Okay. Here we go. Okay, we're gonna let that dry before we put another coat on it, but we're just gonna move on to other colors while we are waiting for it to dry. We're going to do this outside rim of the truck black and the inner part black. I'm just gonna go ahead and paint the entire thing black and then worry about doing this part gray over top of the black. Okay, just make it a little bit easier and it shouldn't be too difficult to cover the black with the gray. I'm using a number 12 angle. Remember to pick up those bumpers of paint, okay? Don't leave trails of paint from the sides of your paintbrush. Go back and sweep those up and smooth them out. If you leave them, that's how they will dry. If you get them too close to the other color, just come in with your brush over top of them, hover just slightly, and sweep back towards the paint color. And then that will get rid of them. And now remember, you don't have to be perfect because you will trace over the gap with a paint marker. So that will help hide any little imperfections of where you may have painted out of the lines or not quite met the next color and some bare wood is showing through. You don't have to be perfect to paint these door hangers. They will turn out really, really good, even if you are not a perfect painter. I'm not a perfect painter. All right, while we have our black out, let's go up here and put a coat of black on our pot of gold. Now, this little rounded thing I'm painting first is the handle. My brush is quite large. You may want to switch over to a smaller brush. And then this is the rim of the pot, so we're going to make sure that we paint that. And then carefully just paint around the gold coins. Now, typically I would not paint black first because black covers a lot easier, and so any mistakes could be covered, but I had it out, so that's why I decided to do it this way. All right, we'll let that dry. We're gonna come back and give a second coat on our wheels because they are dry and I still have my black brush out, so. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that black brush off. My pot is still wet, so I can't put a second coat on that right now. So we're just gonna wait and save that for later. I am gonna go back to my green though. I'm gonna grab a smaller brush and I'm gonna do the hat on the little leprechaun. And I'm just gonna do this whole thing. I'm gonna try and avoid the buckle area though, so. I'm going to paint this whole shamrock. Now the belt part of the shamrock, or of the hat right here, will get painted black, so I'm not worried about that covering. But I am going to try to avoid the buckle area, because that little buckle will get painted yellow, and that's hard to cover as it is, so we don't want to put any extra stress on the yellow paint. And then we're going to come up top and do the top part. Just like that. And then we'll fill the rest of that in. All right, we're gonna let that dry and we'll come back and give him another coat in a little bit. Okay, let's go back to our truck, and we're gonna put a second coat of green on this truck and hope that a second coat covers well and that it doesn't need a third coat. Got it all. Okay, so that is the green of the truck. And let's see. Let's break out a small brush, a small angle, and go back to our black. Touch up anything that you might need to from your wheels. I know I have a couple of spots I need to touch up just a little. And then I have to put my second coat on my pot. So get your second coat of paint on your pot. Okay, there's the second coat of paint on our pot. And then we are going to move on to, let's do the gray. We're going to do the gray of our wheels and our bumpers. Now we're going to make gray. You need a teeny tiny little bit of black and white. You'll need a little bit more white. So you want way more white than you want black. We're going to take the wrong end of a paintbrush and we're going to just take a little bit of black onto our wrong end of our paintbrush, and we're going to start mixing it into the corner of the white till we get a gray that we like. All right, I think that's good, and that's plenty of paint. So we're going to take a very small angle brush or a very small round brush. And we're going to line the inside of our wheels. That's this part here. That's about 2 inches, okay? I'm using a number 4 angle brush. And I'm just gonna come in. And now you might end up needing to touch up your black on the inside there, but we'll see. You're gonna need 2 coats. Okay, and let's see, what else do we have to paint gray? I think that's it. Oh, our bumper. No, our bumpers. Okay, paint your bumpers. All right, now as soon as that's dry, we'll put the second coat on, but we can move on to a couple of other things while we wait for that to dry. Let's move on to painting the inside of the window. Now I have some white on my plate already. So I'm just going to take my blue paint, which I'm using crisp blue, and I'm gonna put a little bit of that on my plate next to my white. Now I want some blue for the rainbow anyway, so we'll just do all that at the same time. I'm going to take the wrong end of a paintbrush, and I need another small angle, so let's use a number. We're going to use a number 4. First, we're going to mix a little bit of this blue into what white we have on our plate. If you need to add some white, go ahead. actually want it lighter than that, so I am going to add some more white. You want to make sure that you mix up enough. We're painting the inside of the window, and you want to make sure that you have enough blue that you don't have to remix it, okay? You don't need a ton, but you need a little more than a pea size. All right, that's what I'm gonna go with there. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this number, I think I said number four angle brush, and I'm gonna trace the inside of that window there, and then I'll use a bigger brush to fill it in, but I wanna get it outlined first. But okay, so that we're gonna let dry. I'm gonna clean that brush off. I'm gonna pick up that number 4 angle brush again and that straight crisp blue, and I'm gonna do the rainbow piece, okay? The rainbow, that's the piece right underneath the green rainbow stripe. All right, there's that blue. That should not need a second coat. We'll figure it out once it dries and see how it looks. If it needs a second coat, we'll just go ahead and give it a second coat. All right, get the excess paint off your paintbrush there and get it cleaned up. And we're gonna go back to our gray, and we're gonna touch up or put a second coat on our gray. All right, so get your bumpers and the inner parts of your wheels. All right, and go ahead and rinse that brush off. You should not need gray anymore. And we are going to come up and work on our rainbow while we wait for our window to continue to dry. So we are going to do red, orange, yellow, and then the bottom purple, okay? So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to paint these two stripes white first because I only want to have to put on 1 coat of orange and yellow instead of 3. So I'm just going to paint those, and while I'm painting those white, I'm going to paint the beard of my leprechaun white as well, because a white foundation will help that orange and that yellow cover better. All right, so let's just get a small brush out. A number 4 angle should do it. And put some fresh white on your plate. I'll first paint. You can paint the hands and the nose as well. You just need a thin coat. Got to come back and give our leprechaun green a second coat. I kind of forgot about him. And I'm going to do the buckle part as well, because that is going to be yellow, and we know how well yellow covers. Okay, that's that piece. Now we're gonna do these rainbow stripes. Okay, there's our white foundation. And while we wait for the white foundation to dry, let's go back and do the second coat on our window. All right, let's get this second coat on. Which, like I told you, I didn't mix enough blue, so my blues are a different shade. That's why it's important to mix enough the first time. So now I got to make sure that I get this entire thing covered, because it's two different colors. Okay, there's our blue, and I think we are done with that. I didn't think about the door handle, so let's go back and grab a little bit of our gray off of our plate and fill in that door handle there. Because I kind of made this door handle a little wide. All right, there we go. We're still waiting on our white to dry for our rainbow. So while we wait for that, let's do our headlights. We're going to be using the yellow for our headlights anyway, or the yellow for our rainbow anyway, so we may as well go ahead and get that out. All right, now you're gonna want a small little brush here, and you're just going to fill in this headlight. Now, this does not have to be opaque, so that's why I didn't put a foundation underneath of it. And this one coat that I put on, that's all I'm gonna put on. Same back here. Forgot to draw a line there for you. And that's his little, and the tail light probably should be red, huh? Not yellow. Tail lights are usually red. Oh well, ours is yellow. If you want to do yours red, do yours red. It kind of makes more sense that it would be red. Okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do our yellow. Our yellow is going to be right on the other side of the green here. And we should only need one coat because of our white foundation. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm still using that same small little brush that I used for the headlight. It's that number 4 angle. And I'll be able to use that for this entire thing. All right. It will not need a second coat. That first coat looks great. Okay, let's grab a little bit of our orange. And let's paint our orange rainbow stripe. And then we're going to move over to our leprechaun guy that I keep forgetting about. And we're going to paint his beard. You see how much nicer orange covers when you put a white foundation behind it? All right, that's that. And let's come over here and grab this guy and let's do his beard. Okay, I'm gonna do the yellow buckle right now too. And then I'm going to get a second coat of green on here. Second and final coat there. Like I said, forgot about this guy. Might be out of angle here, I'm sorry. Okay, that's our second coat of green on that. And now we're going to mix up, while we got our orange out, we're gonna add a dot of white next to it. And we're just gonna mix a tiny bit of orange into that because we need a little bit of a flesh color for the leprechaun nose and hands. Now, if you have flesh color paint, you can go ahead and use that, but you can see that you can make a flesh color with just a tiny bit of orange and a lot more white. And then if you wanted to add a tiny little speck of red or pink in there, it will become more of a fleshy tone. But I'm just going to go ahead and use it this way. And then I'm going to paint his little hands. And his nose. And we will outline this with a paint marker, so don't stress it. Just get as close as you can and make sure you pick up your bumpers. Okay. Now we'll do the belt part of this with a black paint marker. That way we don't have to worry about being so spot on with it. But let's lighten this shamrock up a little bit. We want a little bit of different color in there. So I'm going to put this crisp green on my plate. And I'm just going to come in here and paint that shamrock with a crisp green. Just lightens it up just a little bit. All right, there you go. Nice little contrast there. And our shamrock hat definitely needs some design on it. So I'm going to take and put a spot of white next to that crisp green on my plate. And I'm going to give myself another shade of green by mixing those two together. And then I'm just going to use the end of the same paintbrush I used to mix it. And I'm going to put little dots on my shamrock hat. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go down to the brim. I'm only going to come up top above the belt. And now the rule of dots is you always make a triangle. Okay, so that tells you where your third dot should be. Now, it doesn't matter how big your triangle is. You actually want to space it out because you don't want a uniform pattern. I am going to go back in and make some of those dots a little bigger. I started getting on too much of a pattern right there. Okay, so that's our shamrock hat. And we gotta let those dots dry because we need to come back in with the black paint marker and put some texture and accents in there and define some areas. Okay, so let's set that guy to the side. And then let's come back to our truck and look and see what we have to finish up here. Okay, let's paint our red part of our rainbow, the purple part, and our coins. So we'll put some red on our plate. I'm running out of room on my plate. Luckily, we don't have much left. I'm still using a number 4 angle, and I'm gonna fill in all right, there's our red rainbow. And then let's move on to our purple. Doesn't look like our purple will need a second coat. You'll be able to tell more once it's dry, but I think 1 coat is going to be enough on it. All right, and that's our purple. And then we're going to get out our gold harvest for our coins. Now, if you are a glitter person and you have gold glitter, your coins would look great glittered. Or if you have glitter paint markers, you could use those as well. I would always paint them first though, to get a base coat in there, just in case you miss something with the glitter. Okay, and that's our truck for the most part. Now we're just gonna have to come back and we have to do some detail work. So this part of the truck, not the fenders, I do want to do something with. I think I'm just gonna put some stripes in there, and I think I'm just going to use a rounded brush or a liner brush for stripes. So I'm going to take, let me see. Now, these are not going to be perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be fun. You're going to want to mix up some different shades of green. I've got this one started here that I used for the dots on the shamrock hat. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to roll my brush in there to keep my bristles nice and tight together. And I'm just going to do diagonal stripes. I'm going to start right in the middle here, and then I'll just go out from both sides. You'll see what I mean when I get going here. And I'm just going to draw a stripe. I'm not going to worry that it didn't fill in all the way or anything like that. I'm going to come out on about an inch away, and I'm going to draw another stripe. And then again, about the same distance. And then same distance, I am only going up to the fender line, and then I'll pick it up down here. And get out of angle there, out of frame. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I got to flip it around because I can't reach across it. And I'm going to pick it up on this side. Now, don't forget, you have to go up over the window as well. Let's see. Let's put this one in here. And that one will go right up here. And then it will go down here. And then that will be too far over, so let's get this here. And then one more. Okay, so that's the stripe that way. And then we're gonna turn it, and we're gonna do stripes the opposite way. So let's start in the middle of the truck. I feel like it's easier to control from the middle, so we'll just start here and we'll stripe down, and then we'll build out from there. Make sure if your stripes are still wet that you don't get your hands in them. And then remember to pick your stripe up on the other side of the window. We're gonna flip it around and we'll pick it back up over here. Probably stripe right there. That's gonna follow through here. And then we gotta follow this one back up, which will follow there. And then we'll just stripe this here. Okay, and let's see, what else do I want to do? Okay. I got a little wide right there. I was trying to determine whether or not I could fix it up or not, but I think I'm just gonna leave it. I'm contemplating like dots at each of the intersections, but I think I'm going to not do that. All right, so we are looking at now doing the outline work. So let's get this all the way dry. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to clean my brushes off, get my brushes drying. I'm going to get my I'm going to get my truck all dry and ready to go. And then we'll come back here and we'll get going on the finished work. See you in a minute. Okay, we are back and we are ready to start all the finish work. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on our little our little leprechaun. And you're going to want your small paint marker for this. You want your small black. That is your number 3, okay? Your number 3. And we're gonna just paint marker the belt on his hat. I think it will just be a little bit easier than trying to do that with a paintbrush, although you are very capable of it. So just outline it first and then go ahead and fill it in. All right, you're gonna want to do the center. And then of course, the other side. All right, while we've got this marker out, and because this is such a little guy, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this to do our lines. And then now I do want to outline these much like we do with the main piece, the door hanger part. So I'm just going to continue using the same marker and I'm going to run a line around the outside edge. staying very close to the edge. We just want to be able to define those edges so when we put it on this truck, we can clearly see the edges. Okay, now we're gonna come in here, and I know there's no lines, no score lines for you, and my apologies on that. I should have put that in there, but we're gonna come and we're gonna do a half circle to connect the brim of the hat. Okay, so we're defining where the brim of the hat is. All right, you see how I did that? It's not hard, just draw that line. It's just an oval, half circle. Outline the edge of your buckle. And then outline the outer edge of your hat. Oh, shoot. I'm gonna make my outline just a little bit thicker to hide that little mistake I made. And hopefully I don't make another one. All right. All right, there's our little shamrock. And we're gonna take our I keep calling him a shamrock. He's a leprechaun. We're gonna take our white number 3. Make sure it's primed, okay? Because white tends to set. So shake it up to get that paint opacity. Okay, and then we're just gonna come in here on our beard and we're gonna do some curly cues. And I don't like that. Let me take that off of there. Hopefully I can get it. There we go. I ended too early, so let's come in here. There we go. Better. And then I'm gonna cover up that little bit that I got on there with my black marker. Just like that. Okay. And then let's see, how about we do a little bit on the hat. And then maybe one across the top of the hat. Okay, and let's come down. Let's just curve this down here. All right, so there is our little leprechaun. Now, you could bring your dots down in here if you wanted to a little bit just before that brim. I didn't think about it, and so I didn't do it. All right, we're gonna move on to other things. Okay. So now let's take our black number 5 Posca, that's your medium Posca pen. And we are gonna start outlining. You pretty much are gonna outline everything on this, okay? So I'm gonna start with the tires, the fenders, I guess they are. Try to make one swoop around. I know I did not because it's hard for me to see the line with the overhead lights. Hopefully you were in a better situation. And come in and do around the tire. And then the inside part, we're gonna call that the hubcap. And then we're gonna even do that inner spot one more time as well. Okay. forget that little tiny spot that connects the fender. And then I know it's not there. You're gonna have to draw it in. You're separating the truck bed from that tail light, which we painted yellow and probably should have been something else. Let's come across the bottom of the pot where it's sitting in the bed of the truck. And then let's outline. You don't have to outline the handles or the pot rim. You can if you want to. We are going to outline each of the rainbow sections and the money, the gold coins. All right, so there's our gold coins outlined. Now let's do each of our rainbow. I'll move over to the window, or I'm sorry, the outside of the truck here. And then we'll do let's do the door handle. And then we'll do the window. And then we're going to work on this fender. Make sure you get that little spot where it connects the bumper and then the headlight there. And then we're going to come in and we're going to do the tire. All right, and now we're gonna do the outside. So I like to use my jumbo one. That's your number 7. I always confuse them. I wanna go backwards. And then we're just gonna outline the whole entire thing with our jumbo. Okay, now there's your truck. All right, so now let's take our white paint marker. We're gonna use the small one. That's your number 3. And let's do some white outlining. So let's take and do some squiggle marks around our truck, tires. We're gonna do that to both. Okay, so we got some squiggles. Let's do the fenders. Just a swipe up and around. We're gonna do that to both. Up and around. Let's do there's a little bit of our bumper there. We don't got much, but let's do that. And let's see. Let's do our pot. We definitely have to define our pot here. So let's put a handle look, okay? So let's do like some C's inside of that handle. And then let's define the edges of our pot like that. All right. And then let's define the edges of the brim of the pot here. So let's up and around like that. I think that looks pretty darn good. It gives a nice definition of the handles and the brim of the pot there. Now we can go inside of each of our rainbows and just draw a line. Like that. And then let's do the tops of our gold coins. Okay. Now let's take our leprechaun. Where did our leprechaun go? Over here. Now you would have gotten a tiny little glue with yours. You'll just tap that. And then we're going to put our leprechaun. So our hands are hanging out of the window and the hat is up above it. So that's the placement, okay? That's the placement of your leprechaun. And press him down until he sticks. And then let's do our bow. All right, so let's take our ribbons that we got, and we're going to fold it in half on the long way. We're going to work one ribbon at a time because they're 2 different widths. Fold up like a taco, and from the folded edge out to the corner, you're going to cut that off. Same on the other side, up like a taco, folded edge, that's where you cut up and out. And then we're going to do the same exact thing with the narrower ribbon. Still folded in half the way it came, cut, fold up like a taco, cut from the folded edge up and out to the corner. And then we're going to lay the rainbow or the thinner one over top of the wider one on each of them. And we're going to make an X. And then we're going to take our longer zip tie and wrap it around all of them. Cinch it in the back just a little bit. Get it in the middle of the X and fold those ribbons up or push them up, scrunch them together so they're not folded down. Tighten that up almost all the way. Then you're going to slide the small zip tie through that loop of the larger one. Cinch that larger one down all the way and then trim it off. And then we're going to take our jute, flip that door hanger around so the holes are by you. You're going to put one end of the jute through each of the holes from the front to the back. And then you're going to make a loop at the top here, decide how long you want that loop to be, and then bring both of your strands together at the top of that loop, pinch them, and then tie those into an overhand knot with the knot ending where your pinch was. All right, tighten that down, trim those ends, move that knot to the back of one of those holes, bring both of those loops up. Now this is where your ribbon comes in. You're gonna take that zip tie and you're gonna wrap that cluster around both pieces of jute on either side. I'm choosing to wrap it on this side because it will cover my little leprechaun if I do it on the other. Zip that zip tie down tight, trim the end off, and you are done. And there is your January door hanger that you will proudly display in March. I hope you guys had fun painting this guy. This one was fun. It took a little bit more time because there's so many colors involved, but it was a good time. All right, you guys, we will see you when we record the February door hanger. Take care.